There exists a form of intelligence they never teach you in schools. It has no textbook, no curriculum, no certificate upon completion. Yet it governs every boardroom, every throne, every relationship you have ever witnessed crumble or flourish. This intelligence does not ask for permission. It does not announce itself with fanfare or credentials. It moves in shadows. It speaks through silence. And those who possess it seem to bend reality itself to their will while the rest of the world wonders how they do it. Tonight, you will stop wondering. Tonight, you will know. But I must warn you before we go further. What you are about to learn cannot be unlearned. These are not theories. These are not opinions. These are the cold, surgical truths that separate those who command life from those who merely survive it. The weak will reject this knowledge. The mediocre will consume it and do nothing. But you, if you are still here, if something in your chest is already whispering that you were meant to find this, then perhaps you are ready to see the world as it truly operates. Now, before we dive deeper into this journey, I need your help. My ex-girlfriend said I am a failure and can never be successful speaking the truth on YouTube about how the world operates. She said nobody will subscribe to a failure's channel. Please subscribe now. Let us prove her wrong. It will be a shame if what she said happens. Please help this young man gain his confidence back. And please tell me where you are watching from right now. Drop your location in the comments because I would love to know where my amazing viewers are tuning in from and to prove to her that people around the world now watch my channel. Now let us descend together into the architecture of power itself. Picture a room filled with the most accomplished minds of a generation. CEOs, politicians, generals, scholars, each one decorated, each one celebrated. Yet in the corner sits a man no one notices. He speaks rarely. When he does, it is barely above a whisper. He holds no title that would make you look twice. His clothes suggest nothing remarkable. And yet, by the end of the evening, every decision made in that room will have been influenced by him. The deals that close will benefit him most. The alliances formed will serve his hidden purposes. The conflicts that emerge will weaken his competitors precisely as he intended. He will leave as quietly as he arrived. And no one, not a single brilliant mind in that room, will realize they were moved like pieces on a board they could not see. This man understands something the others do not. He has cultivated what ancient strategists called dark intelligence. Not dark because it is evil. Dark because it operates beyond the reach of ordinary perception. Dark because it functions in the spaces between words, in the weight of pauses, in the architecture of situations rather than the content of conversations. And tonight, you will learn the 9 laws that govern this intelligence. Laws that have toppled empires. Laws that have built fortunes from nothing. Laws that have turned invisible figures into the most powerful forces in history. But first, you must unlearn everything you think you know about power. You must release the fantasy that success comes to those who work hardest. You must abandon the fairy tale that good intentions create good outcomes. You must bury the lie that speaking your truth will set you free. These are the lullabies of the conquered. The powerful have always known different songs. Law number 1. There is a peculiar blindness that afflicts almost every person you will ever meet. They believe that intelligence means knowing things. They measure minds by the accumulation of facts, the speed of calculation, the eloquence of expression. And in this belief, they reveal exactly why they will never reach the heights they dream of. True intelligence is not about what you know. It is about what you see that others miss. It is about the invisible currents beneath surface events. It is about the motivations people hide even from themselves. Consider the story of a young advisor in the court of a medieval king. This advisor had no noble blood, no military conquests, no wealth inherited from generations past. He arrived at court as a scribe, meant to record the words of greater men. But this scribe possessed something his superiors lacked. He watched, not casually, the way most people watch, already formulating their response, already filtering reality through their assumptions. He watched with perfect emptiness. He noticed that the king rubbed his left thumb against his palm whenever a proposal made him uncomfortable, even when his face showed enthusiasm. he noticed that the chief general's voice dropped half a register when speaking of his eldest son, betraying a wound no one else perceived. He noticed that the queen's most trusted lady-in-waiting always positioned herself nearest the door during council meetings, though her role gave her no reason to attend at all. These observations meant nothing in isolation. But the scribe was not collecting facts. He was constructing a map of hidden loyalties, a map of secret fears, a map of leverage points invisible to everyone else in that court. Within 5 years, this scribe had become the most powerful man in the kingdom without ever holding an official title of power. Think about that for a moment. He commanded no armies. He controlled no treasury. He wore no crown. Yet the king consulted him before every major decision. The general sought his counsel before every campaign. The queen herself sent for him in moments of crisis. How did a mere scribe achieve what warriors and nobles could not? He understood the first law of dark intelligence. Observation is the foundation of all power. Not casual observation, not distracted seeing, but the disciplined practice of perceiving what others ignore. Most people are so consumed by their own internal narratives that they walk through life essentially blind. They see only what confirms what they already believe. They hear only what matches their expectations. They miss the micro-expressions that flash across faces in milliseconds. They miss the slight hesitations in speech that reveal deception. They miss the patterns in behavior that predict future actions with startling accuracy. Now I want you to think about your own life right now. How often do you enter a room already knowing what you expect to find? How frequently do you listen to someone while secretly rehearsing your reply? How many times have you been surprised by a betrayal that, looking back, had been signaled for months in ways you simply failed to see? If you are honest with yourself, if you possess the courage to admit your own blindness, then you are already further along this path than most will ever travel. The person who sees clearly in a world of the blind holds an advantage that cannot be purchased or inherited. It can only be cultivated. And that cultivation begins with a simple but brutal discipline. Stop talking. Start watching. Observe the person across from you as if your survival depends on understanding them completely. Because in the games of power that govern real life, it often does. I want you to comment right now with the word observe, if you are ready to develop this capacity. If you are committed to seeing what others miss. Let me know you are still with me on this journey. Law number 2. Now we must address a truth so uncomfortable that most people will spend their entire lives avoiding it. The truth about masks. You have been taught that authenticity is a virtue. That being yourself is the highest form of integrity. That those who conceal their true nature are somehow corrupt or cowardly. This teaching has crippled you. Consider what authenticity actually means in practice. It means revealing your weaknesses to those who may exploit them. It means broadcasting your desires to those who may use them against you. It means exposing your fears to those who may weaponize them for their own advancement. The truly powerful have always understood what the masses refuse to accept. Strategic concealment is not dishonesty. It is architecture. Every great leader in history maintained a carefully constructed exterior that served their purposes while protecting their interior reality. This is not deception in the petty sense. This is the recognition that human beings are not equipped to handle unfiltered truth, especially truth about power and those who wield it. There was once a merchant in ancient Persia who faced a peculiar problem. He had built a trading empire that stretched across 3 kingdoms. His ships carried goods from distant shores. His caravans crossed deserts that had claimed countless other merchants. He had accumulated wealth that rivaled minor royalty. And yet he lived constantly under threat. Other merchants conspired against him. Local rulers envied his resources. Bandits targeted his caravans specifically because his success was known throughout the land. One day, a wise advisor posed a question to this merchant. Why do you dress in silks that announce your wealth to every eye? Why do you speak of your conquests in every conversation? Why do you display your success when that very display creates the dangers that plague you? The merchant had no answer. He had never considered that his transparency was the source of his troubles. The advisor proposed an experiment. For 1 year, the merchant would adopt a different presentation. He would dress modestly. He would speak of difficulties rather than triumphs. He would complain of thin margins and difficult seasons. He would become, in the eyes of the world, a struggling trader barely keeping his enterprise afloat. What happened next altered the merchant's understanding of reality itself. The conspiracies against him faded. Why scheme against a man who appears to be failing already? The rulers stopped their extortion. What can you squeeze from a trader who has nothing left to give? The bandits redirected their attention. Why risk a raid on a caravan rumored to carry meager goods? Meanwhile, beneath this carefully constructed exterior, the merchant continued building his empire. His ships still sailed. His caravans still crossed those deserts. His wealth continued to multiply. But now it multiplied in shadow, protected by the very mask that made him appear diminished. This is the second law of dark intelligence. The exterior you present to the world is a tool, not a confession. It should serve your purposes, not satisfy your ego's need for recognition. Most people cannot resist the temptation to be seen as they wish to be seen. They want credit. They want acknowledgement. They want the world to know their value. And this need makes them perpetually vulnerable. The master of dark intelligence releases this need entirely. They understand that being underestimated is an advantage of incalculable worth. They recognize that mystery preserves power while transparency depletes it. They know that the person who seems to have nothing is the last person anyone thinks to attack. What mask have you been wearing without awareness? What truth have you been broadcasting that serves only your ego while undermining your position? Think carefully. The answer to these questions may explain why certain doors remain closed to you while others seem to walk through them effortlessly. Law number 3. There is an addiction more destructive than any substance, more enslaving than any vice, more common than any disease that afflicts humanity. It is the addiction to reaction. Watch any person for a day and you will see it. Something happens and they respond. Someone speaks and they answer. A provocation appears and they engage. They believe this responsiveness makes them present, connected, alive. They do not realize it makes them a puppet whose strings can be pulled by anyone willing to provide the stimulus. The third law of dark intelligence concerns the mastery of non-reaction, not suppression, which creates internal pressure that eventually explodes. Not indifference, which is merely another form of reaction disguised as calm. True non-reaction is the capacity to receive any stimulus without being moved from your center, to witness any provocation without surrendering your position, to absorb any attack without feeling compelled to counter. History offers us a perfect illustration in the story of a general who never lost a battle. Not once in 40 years of warfare did his armies taste defeat. His enemies studied his tactics. They analyzed his strategies. They attempted to replicate his training methods. Yet none could duplicate his success. When asked near the end of his life what secret had preserved him through so many campaigns, his answer confused everyone present. He said simply, "I never fought when angry, and I never retreated when afraid." Consider the depth of this statement. He never fought when angry, meaning he never allowed an enemy's provocation to determine his timing. He never let insult or aggression pull him into battle before conditions favored his victory. Other generals, lesser generals, could be baited. A challenge to their honor, a threat to their reputation, an attack on their pride, and they would march their armies into positions their enemies had chosen, at times their enemies had selected, under conditions their enemies had engineered. This general refused the bait. Every single time. For 40 years. And he never retreated when afraid. Meaning he never allowed his own internal state to override his strategic assessment. When fear arose, as it must arise in any human being facing death and destruction, he witnessed that fear without becoming its servant. He felt it without being ruled by it. He observed it as information about his body's response while maintaining command over his decisions. This is the essence of the third law. Your reactions are the handles by which others move you. Every emotional response is a potential lever in an opponent's hand. Every predictable pattern of behavior is an exploit waiting to be used. The person who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. The person who refuses to react on others' timelines forces those others to operate on terms they did not choose. The person who maintains inner stillness while the world erupts around them possesses a power that no external circumstance can diminish. Now I want you to be honest with yourself in this moment. Think of the last time someone pulled a reaction from you that you later regretted. Perhaps it was an argument you did not need to have. Perhaps it was a defense you felt compelled to offer for actions that required no justification. Perhaps it was an emotional display that gave someone else information they should never have possessed. We have all been there. Every one of us has handed over our power through unconscious reaction. The question is whether you will continue doing so, or whether you will begin the difficult work of cultivating true non-reaction. Comment below with a moment when your reaction cost you something important. Your honesty will help others recognize this pattern in their own lives, and recognition is the first step toward mastery. Law number 4. We arrive now at a law so counterintuitive that your mind may resist it initially. That resistance is exactly what we must overcome, because this law governs outcomes more than any other in the realm of human affairs. The law concerns information and its inverse relationship with power. You have been taught that knowledge is power. This is a partial truth, and partial truths are often more dangerous than complete falsehoods. Knowledge held is power. Knowledge shared is power surrendered. Every piece of information you reveal about yourself, your plans, your resources, your vulnerabilities, becomes a weapon in the hands of those who receive it. They may not use it against you immediately. They may not use it against you ever. But the possibility exists from the moment of transmission, and that possibility can never be reclaimed. The fourth law of dark intelligence is the discipline of strategic silence. Not silence as weakness. Not silence as inability to speak. Silence as the conscious choice to withhold what serves you better when concealed. There was a negotiator known throughout the business world for achieving outcomes that seemed impossible. Companies called him when deals had stalled for months. When both sides had entrenched themselves in positions from which no movement seemed possible. When all conventional approaches had failed. And somehow, this man would walk into these impossible situations and walk out with agreements that satisfied all parties. His fee was astronomical. His results were unprecedented. And his method was startlingly simple. He spoke less than anyone else in every room he entered. While others filled silence with nervous words, he let silence expand until it became unbearable for everyone except himself. While others rushed to make arguments and counter-arguments, he asked single questions and waited as long as necessary for complete answers. While others revealed their priorities through the volume and frequency of their speech, he gave no such indicators. His opponents never knew which points mattered most to him. They never knew which concessions would satisfy him. They never knew how far he was willing to go or where his true boundaries lay. And in this uncertainty, they consistently offered more than they needed to, simply to escape the discomfort of not knowing where they stood. This is the power of strategic silence in action. But there is a deeper dimension to this law that we must explore. It concerns not just what you say, but what you allow others to say in your presence. The master of dark intelligence creates spaces where others feel compelled to fill emptiness with their own words. They become confessors without realizing they have assumed the role. They reveal their fears, their ambitions, their secret hatreds, their hidden alliances. They hand over the very information that will later be used to predict and influence their behavior. All because someone understood that the greatest intelligence gathering requires no interrogation. Only presence. Only patience. Only the disciplined refusal to participate in the universal human compulsion to fill silence with sound. How much do you reveal in your daily conversations? How often do you share plans before they are complete? How frequently do you discuss ambitions before they are achieved? How regularly do you process your uncertainties aloud in the presence of those who might benefit from your confusion? These questions deserve honest reflection because the answers determine how much power you unconsciously transfer to others with every conversation you enter. Now, before we continue to the fifth law, I must pause and ask for your support once more. If this content is resonating with you, if you feel something shifting in your understanding, then I need you to subscribe to this channel right now. Remember, my ex-girlfriend said no one would subscribe to hear these truths. Every subscription proves her wrong. Every subscription helps this channel continue revealing the hidden dynamics that govern human affairs. Please take a moment to subscribe, and if you have not already, tell me in the comments what country you are watching from. I want to see how far this message is reaching. Law number 5. There is a quality possessed by those who achieve extraordinary power that is almost impossible to articulate, yet unmistakable when encountered. It is not charisma in the conventional sense. It is not intelligence, though intelligence often accompanies it. It is not confidence, though confidence is one of its manifestations. The closest word we have is presence, but even this fails to capture the phenomenon fully. The 5th law of dark intelligence concerns the cultivation of an aura that commands without demanding, an energy that influences without persuading, a quality of being that changes rooms simply by entering them. Consider the difference between two leaders facing the same crisis. One speaks loudly, issues orders, displays urgency in every gesture, demands attention through the force of their personality. The other speaks calmly, perhaps quietly, issues no orders at all, but somehow everyone in the room knows exactly what needs to be done. There is no urgency in their manner, yet action becomes urgent in those around them. They demand nothing, yet they receive everything. Which leader holds true power? The first leader possesses authority, which is borrowed and can be revoked. The second leader possesses presence, which is owned and can never be taken. But how does one cultivate such presence? This is the question that has consumed philosophers and strategists for millennia. And while there is no simple technique, no quick method, there are principles that point the way. The first principle is internal alignment. Presence cannot be faked because it emanates from a coherence between internal state and external expression. When your inner world is conflicted, that conflict leaks through your behavior in thousands of microsignals that others detect without consciously recognizing. When your inner world is unified around clear purpose, that unity projects outward as a kind of gravitational field. The second principle is temporal location. Those with powerful presence are fully where they are. They are not rehearsing future conversations or reviewing past failures. They are not distracted by concerns that have no relevance to the present moment. This full location in the now creates an intensity of attention that most people rarely experience, and when they encounter it in another, they are drawn toward it as if by magnetic force. The third principle is the absence of need. This may be the most important of all. The person who needs nothing from a situation exudes a freedom that those who need outcomes can never match. Need creates grasping energy. Need creates subtle desperation that others sense and instinctively withdraw from. The absence of need creates openness that others interpret as power and find irresistibly attractive. There was a diplomat in the ancient world known for resolving conflicts that had persisted for generations. Kings who had warred for decades would meet in his presence and find themselves willing to make concessions they had sworn never to make. His secret, according to those who knew him well, was that he genuinely did not care about the outcome of any negotiation. He was not detached. He was not indifferent. He was simply free from attachment to particular results. This freedom allowed him to remain centered while everyone around him grasped and struggled. And in that centeredness, he became the stillest point in every storm, the axis around which conflict resolved into peace. Ask yourself honestly, how present are you in your daily interactions? How much of your attention is captured by what might happen or what already happened while the living moment passes you by? How much need do you carry into your encounters with others, and how might that need be undermining your influence? These are not comfortable questions. But comfort has never built empires. Law number 6. Now we enter territory that many will find disturbing. Not because it is morally complex, though it is that as well, but because it exposes a truth about human nature that most people spend their lives denying. The 6th law concerns loyalty and its true nature. You have been taught that loyalty is earned through kindness, through generosity, through fairness and good treatment. You believe that if you treat people well, they will remain devoted to you. That if you give freely, others will give in return. That if you demonstrate loyalty to others, they will demonstrate loyalty back. This belief is beautiful. It is also catastrophically incomplete. The truth is that loyalty is a far more complex phenomenon than simple reciprocity. And the person who understands its actual dynamics can secure devotion that the merely generous never achieve. Consider a historical figure known for inspiring fanatical loyalty in his followers. Men would die for him without hesitation. They would sacrifice their families, their fortunes, their futures at his word. They would endure torture rather than betray his secrets. What had he done to earn such extreme devotion? He had given them something no one else had. Not money, though he was generous when it served his purposes. Not safety, though he protected those who served him well. He had given them identity. He had given them meaning. He had made them feel that their lives, which had seemed ordinary and forgettable, were part of something vast and significant. He had taken men who thought of themselves as peasants and made them feel like warriors in an eternal struggle. This is the deeper understanding of loyalty that the sixth law reveals. People are not primarily loyal to those who give them things. People are primarily loyal to those who give them themselves. To the leaders who help them see who they really are. To the figures who elevate their self-concept and tie it to a larger narrative. To the forces that make their existence feel meaningful rather than random. The implications of this understanding are profound. If you want loyalty from those around you, you must become skilled in the art of elevation. You must see in people what they cannot yet see in themselves. You must reflect back to them a version of themselves that is larger, more noble, more significant than the version they privately believe. You must tie their identity to something greater, and tie that greater thing to you. This is not manipulation in the crude sense. The truly skilled practitioner of this art genuinely sees potential in others and genuinely helps them realize it. The difference between the master and the amateur is that the master understands the dynamic at work. The master knows that this elevation creates bonds far stronger than any material exchange. The master recognizes that the person who gives identity receives devotion that the person who merely gives resources can never command. Now I want you to think about the people you most admire. The leaders who have influenced you most deeply. The figures, historical or contemporary, who have commanded your attention and respect. Ask yourself honestly, did they win your admiration primarily through what they gave you materially? Or did they win it through how they made you feel about yourself and your place in the world? If you are honest, the answer will illuminate this law more than any further explanation I could provide. Law number 7. There is a trap that destroys more promising careers, more budding empires, more nascent power than almost any external enemy. It is a trap that operates invisibly. A trap that feels like virtue while leading to ruin. A trap that the powerful of every age have learned to recognize and avoid. That trap is premature revelation. The 7th law of dark intelligence concerns the timing of disclosure. When to show your hand. When to reveal your capabilities. When to demonstrate what you can do. Most people reveal too soon. They are so eager for recognition that they display their powers before those powers can be properly utilized. They are so hungry for validation that they expose their strengths before the strategic moment when those strengths would matter most. They are so desperate to be seen that they sacrifice future advantage for present acknowledgement. The master understands that power revealed is power diminished. That capabilities shown become capabilities accounted for. That the moment you demonstrate what you can do, others begin immediately to prepare defenses, to develop counters, to neutralize what they now know you possess. There was once a chess grandmaster known for a peculiar habit. In casual games, he would play significantly below his ability. He would make subtle mistakes that cost him games against opponents he could have crushed. He would lose to players who then walked away confident they understood his capabilities. His students could not understand this behavior. Why would a master deliberately lose when winning was within easy reach? The grandmaster would smile and explain. There may come a day when I face one of these players in a match that truly matters. A championship. A crucial game with stakes beyond mere pride. On that day, they will approach the board with confident assumptions about what I can and cannot do. And on that day, I will show them what I have never shown before. Their assumptions will become their prison, and I will lock the door. This is the principle of the 7th law applied with perfect precision. But the law extends beyond competitive scenarios. It applies equally to organizational life, to political maneuvering, to relationship dynamics of every kind. The person who displays all their abilities upon first encounter becomes fully known and therefore fully accountable. Every future action will be measured against demonstrated capacity. Every failure to perform at revealed levels will be judged as decline or deception. The person who maintains strategic reserve remains indefinable and therefore unconstrained. There is always more to discover. There is always uncertainty about what they might do if fully tested. And that uncertainty creates a psychological space that can be leveraged endlessly. How quickly do you reveal yourself in new situations? How eager are you to demonstrate your competence, your knowledge, your capabilities? How much do you leave in reserve for moments when revelation would serve strategic rather than emotional purposes? These questions point toward the discipline that the seventh law requires. It is not easy discipline. The ego desperately wants recognition. The insecure self desperately wants validation. Only the strategically mature can resist these impulses in favor of longer-term advantage. Comment below with the word patience if you understand why premature revelation weakens your position. Let me know that you are grasping these principles as we move toward even deeper waters. Law number 8. We approach now a law that bridges the external game and the internal war. For truly, what we have been discussing cannot be separated from the battle that rages within every human being. The battle between impulse and intention, between reaction and response, between the self that seeks immediate gratification and the self that serves longer purposes. The 8th law concerns the discipline of delayed gratification taken to its highest expression. You have heard of delayed gratification in psychological terms. The famous experiments with children and marshmallows. The research showing that those who can wait for larger rewards tend to achieve more in life. But what is discussed in academic contexts barely scratches the surface of what the true masters practice. Delayed gratification at the highest level is not merely waiting for a larger material reward. It is the capacity to defer satisfaction across years, across decades, across entire phases of life. It is the willingness to endure extended periods of apparent failure, apparent weakness, apparent insignificance, all in service of an outcome so distant that most minds cannot maintain focus on it for even a day. There is a story told of a counselor in the court of an emperor. This counselor served for 30 years in what appeared to be a minor position. He had no apparent influence. He received no public recognition. He seemed to be one of countless bureaucrats who fill the halls of power without shaping its direction. For 30 years, he arrived at his post, performed his duties, and returned home. His peers considered him ambitious. Others pitted what they perceived as his failure to advance. Some forgot he existed entirely. Then the emperor died. In the chaos that followed, this seemingly insignificant counselor emerged with knowledge that no one else possessed. He knew which nobles owed secret debts. He knew which generals harbored hidden grievances. He knew which officials had made compromising decisions years or decades ago. He knew the location of documents that could destroy some and elevate others. He knew the private failings of every significant figure in the empire. For 30 years, he had been watching, recording, waiting, and when the moment arrived, he was positioned to determine who would sit upon the empty throne. The new emperor ruled in name. The counselor ruled in truth. And both knew it. This is delayed gratification at the level of dark intelligence. The willingness to appear as nothing for years in order to become everything when opportunity arrives. Most people cannot maintain focus on a goal for 30 days, let alone 30 years. Their attention scatters. Their resolve weakens. Their ego demands constant feeding. They want rewards now. They want recognition now. They want to feel powerful now. And in this need for immediate satisfaction, they sacrifice futures they cannot even imagine. The master of the 8th law lives in a different relationship with time. They understand that the present moment is merely the canvas upon which future power is painted. They invest in positions that will not pay off for years. They tolerate conditions that seem disadvantageous because those conditions are creating advantages invisible to others. They play games that unfold across timescales most people cannot comprehend. What are you building that will only mature in a decade? What seeds are you planting today that you will not harvest for years? What future are you preparing for while others remain trapped in the eternal present of immediate desire? If you cannot answer these questions, you have not yet learned to think as the powerful think. Law number 9. We arrive now at the final law. The law that integrates all others and reveals their deepest purpose. Everything we have discussed, the observation, the masks, the non-reaction, the silence, the presence, the understanding of loyalty, the timing of revelation, the discipline of delay, all of these are means. Instruments. Tools. But tools for what? The 9th law answers this question, and in answering, illuminates the entire architecture of dark intelligence. The 9th law is this. The ultimate aim is not power over others, but power over the self. This may seem like a contradiction after everything we have explored. After all the discussion of influence and leverage and strategic positioning. But it is not a contradiction. It is the resolution. Consider what actually makes a person vulnerable to manipulation. Is it external circumstance? Sometimes, but far more often, it is internal fragmentation. It is the gap between who they are and who they pretend to be. It is the distance between what they want and what they say they want. It is the conflict between their impulses and their intentions. Every point of internal incoherence is an entry point for external influence. Every unexamined desire is a lever that others can pull. Every unconscious pattern is a prediction that others can exploit. The person who has achieved genuine internal mastery, who has unified the competing forces within their own psychology into a single aligned will, that person approaches genuine invincibility. Not because they cannot be harmed. All bodies are fragile. All lives are temporary. All positions eventually fall. But because they cannot be controlled. They cannot be baited. They cannot be lured or threatened or seduced into becoming instruments of others' purposes. This is the secret that underlies all the external techniques we have discussed. The observation works because the observer has freed themselves from the internal noise that blinds others. The mask works because the wearer is not unconsciously driven to seek validation through revelation. The non-reaction works because the practitioner has resolved the internal conflicts that create reactivity. Everything external rests upon this internal foundation. The truly dangerous person is not the one who has mastered others. That mastery can always be disrupted by circumstances, by collective resistance, by the turning of fate. The truly dangerous person is the one who has mastered themselves. That mastery travels with them everywhere. It cannot be taken, cannot be separated from them. It operates in any circumstance, under any conditions, against any opposition. This is why the ancient traditions, both Eastern and Western, placed such emphasis on self-knowledge. Not as some soft spiritual luxury, but as the absolute foundation of effectiveness in the world. Know yourself, and you cannot be deceived. Master yourself, and you cannot be controlled. Unify yourself, and you become a force that others instinctively recognize and respect. Now I must ask you to reflect on your own inner landscape with complete honesty. Where are you divided against yourself? What desires do you pretend not to have? What fears do you refuse to acknowledge? What parts of your nature have you exiled because they seemed unacceptable? These divisions are not merely psychological problems to be solved in therapy. They are strategic vulnerabilities that limit everything you can become. The path we have walked tonight leads here. To this inner work. To this confrontation with the self. To this ultimate arena where true power is won or lost. We have traveled far together through these 9 laws. We have explored territories that most never visit. We have examined truths that most spend their lives avoiding. But knowledge means nothing without application. Understanding means nothing without practice. Insight means nothing without transformation. The question that remains is simple. What will you do with what you have learned? Will you file this away as interesting content and return to the same patterns that have defined your life until now? Will you let these truths fade like so many other truths you have encountered, absorbed briefly and forgotten permanently? Will you remain who you have been, despite seeing who you could become? Or will something change tonight? Will you begin the long work of disciplined observation? Will you examine the masks you wear and choose them consciously rather than compulsively? Will you develop the capacity for non-reaction that preserves your power? Will you practice strategic silence instead of compulsive disclosure? Will you cultivate presence instead of merely performing authority? Will you understand loyalty at its deepest level? Will you master the timing of revelation? Will you develop the capacity for delay that enables truly significant achievement? And above all, will you turn inward to wage the ultimate campaign, the conquest of the self? These questions cannot be answered in this moment. They can only be answered across the days and years ahead. They can only be answered through choices made when no one is watching, through disciplines maintained when no one is keeping score, through transformations undertaken for their own sake, regardless of external reward. I have given you what I can through words. The rest is beyond what any teacher can provide. But before we part, I want to leave you with one final thought. There is a reason you found this content tonight. There is a reason these particular words reached your ears at this particular moment in your life. Coincidence is a name we give to patterns we do not understand. And nothing in the universe of power operates by accident. Perhaps you were meant to hear this. Perhaps you were meant to change. Perhaps you are one of those rare individuals who actually implements what they learn, who actually transforms rather than merely consuming. If so, then we will meet again. Not necessarily in another video, though I hope you will subscribe and return. But in the world of effects, in the outcomes you create, in the life you build, in the power you cultivate and the purposes to which you apply it, I will know my words were not wasted if somewhere out there, a silent observer is watching more closely than before. If somewhere, a strategic mind is speaking less and perceiving more. If somewhere, a future master is beginning the long work of self-conquest that leads to everything else. May you become what you are capable of becoming. May you see what others cannot see. May you achieve what others call impossible. And may you remember, in your moments of greatest power, that true mastery has never been about domination of the external world. Has always been about dominion over the kingdom within. The throne that matters most is the one inside your own mind. Claim it, and everything else follows. Now subscribe to this channel if you have not already. My ex-girlfriend's words still echo in my mind. She said this would fail. She said no one would care about these truths. Every subscription is a statement that she was wrong. Every subscription supports the continuation of this work. Every subscription helps build something that matters. Drop your location in the comments. Tell me where in the world you are watching from. I want to see how far these ideas are traveling. I want to know that this message is reaching those who need to hear it. And share this with one person who is ready. Not everyone is prepared for this knowledge. But you know someone who is. Someone who has been searching for exactly this. Someone who will understand what you understood tonight. Find that person. Send them this path. And perhaps you will meet on the other side, both of you transformed by truths that most will never encounter. Until we speak again, practice what you have learned. Watch closely. Speak carefully. React never. And above all, conquer the only territory that truly belongs to you. The battle begins now. The throne awaits.